What I really want to show here is that mistakes in baking aren't always failures. Now, I used my original cinnamon biscuit roll recipe to make this, and I found a really good design online that I really wanted to make, but it was in a different language, and it used yeast, and I wanted to try my own version. So what I discovered is the portion of the dough that I did not put any chocolate on should have had something because it wasn't sweet enough. So what I will do in the description is add sugar to the dough. And then the actual filling wasn't sweet enough, and it had too much butter and not enough powdered sugar. So I would change that, and the recipe, the chocolate frosting is more like what it should be, the consistency inside the portion that I put chocolate on. So I discovered my mistakes, and I'm going to share them with you. And that's why I decided to upload this anyway. And also, there was a lot of work that went in, and the design is very, very nice. Welcome, everyone. This is a new recipe that I created, and so I really don't know how it's going to taste because this is the first time I've made it. But I just decided to put a frosting on the outside of one of them to try it. So I'm going to give it a try right now. It's called a chocolate cinnamon biscuit bun. That's what I've named it. And I doubled my recipe that I showed earlier on my cinnamon biscuit roll. This I made chocolate, I doubled this, and I did a few extra things that are different. So I'm going to try it right now. I've never made this before. Well, I know I always tell you how delicious everything is, right? Have I ever told you something's horrible? Well, this isn't horrible, but it's not anything what I expected it to be. I can't describe it. It's not real sweet, even though I put that filling in the middle. I don't think it was thick enough. It should have been more like the frosting that I made afterwards. The part where I put the icing in the middle, or the filling, it tastes better. But the part around the edges that doesn't have the filling is kind of bland. But anyway, I'm going to show you this recipe anyway. It's really pretty. What I would do next time is do more of a chocolate frosting in the middle instead of how I did it. I didn't put enough powdered sugar in it. It was too thin. But this frosting here that I decided to try is how it should have been in the middle. So if you want to give this a try, go ahead. I'm going to put the frosting recipe in the description. So hopefully next time I'll make something that I love like I usually do. Thank you for watching. These are all the ingredients and items you're going to need to make this. You're going to need either an 8 or 9 inch springform pan, or you can use a cake pan. You're going to need flour, powdered sugar, cinnamon, baking soda and baking powder, butter, cocoa powder, buttermilk, vanilla, salt, and chocolate chips, whichever kind you want. Milk chocolate, I'm using semi-sweet. So I will give you the exact amounts under the video in the description box. You want to start by melting your 4 tablespoons of butter. Okay, we're going to start with our 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then we're going to add our 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to mix all that together and kind of whisk everything in so it's incorporated. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add your melted butter. And that is 4 tablespoons. And then we're going to pour in a cup of buttermilk. And once you get all that in, You're going to whisk it. You can use a dough hook with your mixer, or you can use one of these great Dutch hooks. They're awesome. It's a Dutch whisk. And already it's incorporated together just like that. See how fast that comes together? I mean, that's fast. So first you want to grease your pan. Then you want to flour your board. And we're going to cut this dough in half and we're going to do two different parts to this. So first thing you do is add a little bit of butter. Just, you know, I'm not measuring it, maybe a tablespoon. Then you're going to add some cocoa powder. And you're going to mix all this in, because this is going to be our chocolate dough. I'm kind of making a mess, but that's part of, there's not a easy way to do this. You just have to blend all the cocoa powder in the dough, and the butter kind of helps incorporate that. So I'm going to keep kneading this and add a little more cocoa, and I'll be back with you when I'm done here. Okay, so we've rolled the chocolate one out, and now we're going to roll this plain one out to the same size as this. Before we roll out our other dough, we're going to cook our filling on the stove, so it'll be ready when the dough is all rolled out. So what we're going to cook is a half a cup or 1 stick of butter. We're going to melt that with a 1/3 cup of cocoa, a 1/3 cup of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and after we melt that, we will add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And so that's going to be our filling, so we want to have that ready. So while we're melting the butter, we can roll this one out. We just have to kind of time it right, where you're not waiting for the filling and you have your dough all ready. So we're going to do it the same size as the chocolate one. So I'm going to keep rolling this, and I will see you in a few. Butter is melted. Now we're going to add our powdered sugar, cocoa powder, and cinnamon. And we're just going to stir this all together till it's nice and creamy. Just going to add a splash, literally, of vanilla. That's all. Okay, so now we have both rolled out, and this is not going to be exactly fitting just right. So what we're going to do is kind of move this seam over to the edge, kind of like that, and you can kind of match it up. It's real forgiving. Like, it's not perfect. There's nothing perfect. So we're just going to line that up. We're going to line both sides up, just like this. You're going to go around all the edges and kind of overlap it a little, kind of push it out. Okay, now what you want to do is get a basting brush, and you're going to put this chocolate filling over on the edge here, just like I'm showing you. It's not going to go on the whole rectangle. It's just going on a portion of it. And then after we get about, say, this much on it, we're going to add some chocolate chips. Now, I measured out like a 1/3 cup. And I'm just going to kind of put it more on the edge. And I actually have made this recipe up, and I've never made it before, so we're going to see how it goes. Okay, so once we get that going, we're going to roll this up. Just like a regular cinnamon roll. Think of it like a cinnamon roll. That's exactly what it's like. So you want to get the edges kind of crimped like this, and we're going to push in the chocolate chips kind of like that and roll. And try to keep it tight like this. And we're going to stop right here. Then you want to take either a knife or a little tool like this. You're just going to do like this. And then you're going to twist all of them like this. Isn't that pretty? You're going to take them and twist them. Just like that. So I'm going to go down the whole line and twist them, and I will be back. So we have all of these twisted, and now we're going to take our roll and just push it, roll it all the way in. And see how beautiful that is? Now we're going to twist it like this, and we're going to put it in our springform pan. So some of these might be kind of coming apart, so you have to be real gentle with this. And there we go. So now we're going to bake it, and I'm setting preheating the oven to 450, and I am not sure how long this is going to take. Because it's the first time I've done it and I kind of created. I'm thinking 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, because this is a biscuit form, like my biscuit recipe I showed you earlier. I did the same recipe, only I doubled it. I doubled the recipe, and I did some more variances here. So we're going to put this in the oven at 450. So this was totally the first time I've ever made this. It was experimental. So what I did was I added more powdered sugar to make this more of a frosting. Before I used it as the filling, and now I've added more powdered sugar. And what I've done, and this is totally optional, I've taken this chocolate frosting that I kind of made, kind of a ganache, and put it in the middle here. And I'm going to do half of it like this just to try it, but it's not part of my recipe. It's just something extra I'm doing.